how to never run out of ideas in creative work. This is also for beginners. If you're a beginner or an advanced and you're having troubles coming up with creative ideas, then this is for you. And yeah, it's going to be interesting and fun. Let's jump. Part number 1, understanding the creative dynamic. Point number 1, work should be play. Play should be fun. Coming up with ideas must not be a burden. You cannot force your way into being creative. The more you tighten your grip, the less creative you are. The water will always follow the path of least resistance. And if we take the principle that the water follows the path of least resistance, why we as humans must take work and treat it seriously when we can find the shortest way of fixing problems from A to B in its most direct form? And the answer is because we have emotions. As soon as we engage emotions into something and we make it personal, then that becomes valuable. And the more you think something is valuable for you, then that's how you increase importance. And the more you increase importance, then that's when you can't allow yourself to lose or to force results. But this is the paradox, because the more you believe something is important and you want to get it done properly, then that's when you lose. Because creativity is fun. It's something that should be fun, never treated seriously. The moment you add seriousness and emotions and all that, that's when you lose momentum. And obviously this steps away from the path of least resistance, where creativity has a hard time coming when you need it to, or when you want to come up with a new idea. So what should be done in this case is simply relax. Whatever you have to come up with, just have to relax and take off the importance, take off the meaning you give to things, regardless of how important they are. What you're interested in is basically a state where your brain can feel at ease. Obligation is the last thing you want. And this makes it the point, because when you play and have fun, your brain is creative because it's engaged in a way where certain rules are followed, like in a video game, and it tries to match the skills to the challenge. That's all it wants to do. And when you achieve this, which is basically the natural state of optimal performance, you feel like you're living, you're in a zone. And this is why it's important to not treat what you have to do currently as work, but just consider it fun and do it. And the point here is you can't force your way into being creative, because the more you tighten your grip, the less creative you become. And I've explained why. Point number 2, to be creative and express yourself fully, you must do work equal to your heart's desire. This is a non-negotiable, because if you want to stand out through your own uniqueness, then you will have to be who you are. Many people, since birth and given the conditioning and largely tradition, they've hid the core of who they are intrinsically. And this in turn leads to basically batteries for society. While this goes unconsciously, given the need for survival and to stay alive and to stay protected and well by the society, the individual will and talent and skill and the natural self-expression hid away from their own eyes. And this is a mistake in a way, you know? And you want to have a closer look here when I say be creative and express yourself fully, and you must do work equal to your heart's desire. Your heart's desire, because we contrast this with what society wanted you to become. But obviously, if you're already doing some kind of creative work, then you know what's about. And this is a very good thing, largely. But to what extent, you know? Because in a way, you will have to look left and right and see what kind of stuff works and what doesn't. But still, you can look at what works and what doesn't, but try to bring into this who you are. Just basically making use of old ideas with a new identity. And that is you expressing yourself fully. Point number 3, the level of awareness of the artist will give birth to alike works. Mastery is achieved through time, repetition, and moments of new understanding of the basics, which is basically the same basics. If you want to become a master, you can only do so by investing time and repetition, and also a proper self-awareness where you can improve from your mistakes. And when we say about the level of awareness is because, as funnily as this might sound, all of us are slipping through life. What separates us from other individuals is the degree to which we sleep. And this sleep is largely observing and acknowledging our errors and trying to improve. This is fundamentally was missing when you try to understand the next level of awareness on how to improve your work, because the eye will see what the mind is ready to accept. And if you take this truth largely for what it is, you'll understand that we are sleeping, and what's different than other people is a degree to our sleep. And when I say other people, I'm making a reference to other artists, because let me give you an example. If you look at your old videos or old drawings or old art, it's cringe. You gotta admit it. I did it in 2016 2016 when I first started YouTube and all that, because that would make me cringe. Although I accept it just is there, but it's like it's a side of you that needs to be acknowledged and learned from. That's all you have to do. But yeah, basically, mastery will take time because you want to have an intuitive mastery level where you're in a state of flow and you already have the reps done. That is, your nervous system already knows what to do, and you've seen so many patterns, then you're ready to act in real time, coming up with ideas, implementing them, and knowing they will work by using your sixth sense, which only comes with time, obviously, and we call this mastery. And again, to raise your level of awareness, you gotta be present and look at your own mistakes and learn from them. You can either do this by recording yourself, by comparing yourself, or using a mentor and comparing yourself to other people and to your past works and see how you can improve. This is a process for me as well, for everybody, I think. But yeah, we as creatives must all the time do this because it's part of the creative dynamic. It's growth. You cannot deny it. You gotta respectfully work your way around it through the most direct way. As crazily as it sounds, right? You gotta take yourself with good and bads. Part 2, being creative, the bits and bobs of the creative act. Point number 1, naturally, you're designed to express yourself. Fundamentally, you have to be yourself. Wow, this is a big one because in my opinion, for a very long time, I've been stuck in a trap. I was only making music, but it was just the music I wanted to hear and it wouldn't catch the public. And so the main reason people are stuck is because they try to be somebody they're not. And you want to have a look at this. What are you trying to achieve that you think just that will give you and will bring you the fame, the satisfaction and all that? Is it the thing you try to imitate? Is it the thing you hope will bring you the views or the fame, or is it something naturally close to who you are? Because again, to express yourself, you need to be yourself. You can't express something you're not. The moment you try to cross the threshold of expressing something you're not, people are gonna feel that. They will sense it. And as crazily as it sounds, this can even be felt on camera. This can also be felt when you try to replicate a work. When you try to replicate a work, people can feel the original versus the copy. You can tell the difference. And with this in mind, you have to give yourself permission to be yourself fully. If you can't do this, then you're living somebody else's life. And this is a different problem than trying to come up with new ideas for your creative trade, whatever that might be. All right. So you got to look at yourself and see who you are and what you're willing to cut your ties with. You want to leave some of your things behind. The thing that you've built is not serving you anymore now, as I said in one of my videos. But you trade the thing you've done before so far with your potential future, with who you can be in the future. There is always a trade, a mismatch of energy. You want to balance these things out, right? Because let's say, for example, what brought you here was money. But let's say if I do drop shipping, but it's not fulfilling because the customer service drives me nuts, then what should I do? Should I pursue that and start my YouTube channel, or should I stop that and have like a passive income and still do what I like making videos to empower people, to open people's brains to new action they can take or becoming more closer to themselves? What can I do? And there is a trick here. Because if you want to express yourself, you don't want to cut your ties with the past, but you want to be smart. And that is to work in parallel with a thing you now do, but you got to hate. So if your business is taking up your time, you want to find the time to include more of yourself in a project you will admire when you look back. And this transition has to be done seamlessly. Like imagine 2 fade points and you cross them over. That's how you do the transition. It doesn't come overnight. Don't burn your boats. Always have a backup plan and slowly transition and test the waters. That's how you do it. This is how you start to express yourself. You do it slowly, gradually, because you'll also need to get used to it at first. Point number 3, how to obtain inspiration. Inspiration comes when you quiet your mind and open your heart. This is the only reason artists say it's elusive. Allow, don't control, even within a narrow frame. Wow, this is a big one because so many people say inspiration comes whenever he wants. It's not true. I found the proper recipe for inspiration, and that is quiet your ego. Your ego mind will always have a story to come up with. A story, something to say. It will either be in the past, in the future. It will either put you up or down. You gotta be smart enough. When your mind goes on autopilot by itself, you need to tell it to stop and bring it back into the present. Especially when you do creative work, you have to express more of who you are, more from yourself. And that means quieting your mind and working on the first impulse that's coming. Like, these words are not from a script, it's just bullet point and I do my best to expand on it from my heart. The moment I try to mask this, the impulse, the moment I try to come up with something I'm not, I've lost the flow. And even if I lose the flow, if I connect to what's in here, I will never lose the flow, because this is something I want to talk about. This is something that's important to me. And when it is, it's important for you as well, if you resonate on the same frequency like I do. And when this frequency is established, the things are of a higher refinement. They're of a different nature, if you understand. So there is no such thing that inspiration comes when you want to know. It comes when you sit down and allow yourself to be yourself. When you have a clear direction for what you want to achieve in that creative piece of work, and you focus on that only. Don't let your ego mind come up with different stories. You just have to quiet your mind and open your heart. That's all you have to do, literally. Try it. It fucking works. And also here, allow, don't control, even within a narrow frame. For example, if you do work for a client and they want this thing done this way, in such a way, then all you have to do is to focus internally with your heart on those conditions. It's just like a game. Treat the rules like a game and satisfy the customer. This is the best way you can go about it, so you can love it. Because if you don't, it will feel sloppy and you will see it. You will miss some points here, some points there. The customer is gonna ask for revisions and you've done nothing. So try to do your best. And even if you did your best and the customer didn't like it, just consider everything normal, because each opinion is subjective. Not two people see the same thing equally. And with this in mind, allow yourself to be yourself. Because who's gonna like you is gonna like you for who you are. And please don't let this be a reflection of your laziness. That is, yeah, if I'm fat and I drink and I all that, they're gonna like me for who I am. No, bro, nobody's gonna like you for who you are. You gotta work your values as a man, especially, because you pay rent on everything. And so same goes with art. You wanna be yourself, and who's gonna like you is gonna like you for your signature, for your unicity. Point number 4, you must love what you do if you want infinite ideas. One must love his trade, and your work will be of a higher potential if you do. In other words, if you want to express more of who you are and come up with an infinite number of ideas, then you will have to lean closer to who you are at your core. In other words, if you want to express more of who you are, you will need to be more of yourself in your videos, in your books, in your podcasts, in your music making, in your everything, whatever that might be. This is not hard to do. It's just an illusion projected by the mind, given the fear of unknown. And if you battle with that, if you see it for what it is, it's already lost like 50% of its power over you. So the reason you're not creative, the reason you feel like you're not expressing yourself, is because you have deep insecurities about your values and your self-worth. So I hate to say it, but in a way you're not loving yourself, and you want to have a closer look at here. What am I hating about me? Ask yourself, what am I hating about me that's stopping me from acting at my full potential, to be again a child and to allow myself to be who the fuck I want to be in this world, because I only live once. And why would I let a fear dictate my actions from the shadow when I know my time is finite and I need to play this game the best I can to learn the lessons of love and courage and transcend to the next level of existence? Ask yourself this. I know this is not an easy question to answer, but if you're governed by the fear or insecurities of expressing yourself and of being closer to who you are, to your nature, whatever your creative work might be, I'm talking, you need to understand here that first you need to love yourself. This is the only way it goes. First I love myself and then I love what I do. It's never the other way around. I might love what I do, but I hate myself. You might say this is true, but it doesn't go like this, because energy comes from a higher potential to a lower potential. It will always go like this. You can be defined by what you do, but that's not who you are. This is what you need to understand, because what you are is potential, and potential are choices, and choices fundamentally are decisions. Don't forget this. This is your key to change. Point number 5, you must count fulfillment. Burnout comes from fake identities tacked on to fulfill a goal that was not truly yours. If you hate what you currently do, slowly transition to expressing your core idea. So again, with regards to self-expression and this time fulfillment, you must be in union in who you are and what you do, because you can do something and not be fulfilled, but that's not who you are. So we reverse engineer this, and where you are, that is, I want to make this kind of videos, I want to write the book the way I want it, but obviously respecting the format of writing a proper book. And you will get fulfillment this way, through what you do, because that's who you are. And I'm telling you, the moment you do something creative, you will be proud of that thing. And that's fulfillment. It's not vanity, it's not bragging, it's not anything of that measure. It's simply being fulfilled. Fulfillment comes when you're at peace with yourself. Fundamentally resides in self-acceptance, and that is being yourself, because you accept yourself for who you are. And if you want to post one day a clip of you talking in front of a camera and you only get like 3 views, and you find that discouraging, that's not how it works, because your reference point is external. You want to have it internal. You do it because you love it, because you love yourself, right? It will always be like that. So find fulfillment, find it. You might chase money, that's fine, but the time spent chasing those money will be detrimental to your heart's desire, to what it wants, and you will feel that. You will age faster, you will laugh less, you will enjoy less, you will spend more time on your own. Solitude is good, don't get me wrong. I spend a lot of time alone. What's the price for that? I'm asking you, and you know better what it is. So the matter is simple here. Look at yourself for who you are, see what you like to do, and transition slowly. That's your way out. Part 3, get into the core idea. Understanding the me versus them dynamic, and how to deal with perfection or self-sabotage, and what to do about it. Point number 1, comparison kills creativity. If you want to be yourself, you must look at yourself for who you are without judging, but not accepting laziness to inhibit your evolution. You cannot compare when you dominate with individuality. All these sentences could have been subpoints, but I'll sum them up into a single point. So, comparison kills creativity, because the artist who reached the combination of decisions to achieve that masterpiece, to achieve that creative piece, went through a lot of inner filtering. This inner filtering, again, comes from the unseen, the metaphysical parts of life. And obviously, being a reflection of their own self-awareness, we conclude that you might be having a higher level of awareness than them, and you can do a better job. But again, each job is just a job with regards to creative work, because everything in art is subjective. But when multiple points of view converge on something as being bad, then that's bad, and it must be treated as that. And what's left to be done there is just improvement. But considering the nature of opinions, subjective that is, comparison should be done only when we try to learn something. That's the only instance you want to compare your work to other people's. That's all you have to do here. That's all you have to understand here. Never compare yourself to somebody else. Compare to who you were yesterday. Remember when I said about the cringy videos of you in the past? That's fine. You're comparing yourself against that. And it's a sign that you grow. This is what you need to understand here. Compare, because you will always improve. There's always room for improvement. Now, never accept laziness to inhibit your evolution. Laziness is doing the same old tricks because that's what you learned, and that was the best path of least resistance to go through your obstacles. But things have evolved and time has passed and people have improved some of those tools. So you might want to update your maps of meaning, the way you do your creative work, your equipment, your ideas, your perspectives. Don't be lazy, is what I'm saying. For example, if an old master engineer used to do things like back in the 70s, now we have the laptops and all that. Things are different and way easier. You might have the same ear, you might have the same skill stack, you might have the talent, you might have the experience. But if the tool is not there for you, then who's to blame? You, because you haven't updated yourself in years. And you might want to renew yourself from this standpoint. Look at yourself, see what you're lacking, see what you're behind, and do your creative work in a new way. Try to reinvent yourself. Give yourself a fresh perspective. If you've been doing content in the same old way, spice things up by arranging things differently, by changing something, But this should come naturally. Like there's like a force around you when you do creative work that will always ask you to put your best forward. It will always work this way. So count on it. When you feel the need to change, just change. Take yourself by the hand, just go to the store, buy new equipment, because you're investing in yourself. And again, never compare. And as the last sub point here, we have you can't compare when you dominate with your individuality. Again, you want to get closer to who you are. I'm emphasizing it on and on because that's the crucial bit you need to understand. The closer you get to you, the easier things will be presenting themselves to you. It will always be like that. Because when you're being yourself, you're at the higher standpoint. You're at the vantage point where you can see downwards and you can see the path of least resistance. And it's worth considering this path of least resistance because it's the most direct way of doing efficient things. Point number 2, you should always be stealing great ideas. Don't take inspiration from mediocre ideas. Get the best of the best and learn from them. Be a student. This is what I'm saying. How can you steal other people's work? I remember I read 2 books on this. One of them was, and the other was Still Like an Artist. Neither of these books impressed me, neither Rick Rubin or any other contemporary writer. And so while I came across some good points that are not really worth mentioning here, all I can say is that in the book Mastery by Robert Greene, I came across a very important point that's worth saying here. And that is, you should always be a student by stealing from your masters, by somebody who's done something impressive. This is how you improve yourself tenfold. But you will have to put in the reps and the understanding of what went behind that, the thinking process, the decisions, the choices, and why it turned the way it had. This is the only instance where you will kind of, quote, steal from other artists. Nothing illegally. It just serves as inspiration. And this is also one of the best ways to never run out of ideas. Look at other people, other artists, and try to do you based on them. If a framework is already proven to work, then put yourself on it. Like, for example, the best instance I can give you is trends, like if you remember with the ice bucket challenge. In other words, if you want to improve, see what works. You're basically stealing, but it's not really direct stealing, it's just stealing inspiration. That's all you can say. You can also do this with works, like the structure of a book can be copied. Fiction, non-fiction, they all work. If there is a blueprint and it's successful in being tested and the sales, then yes, you can clearly copy what works. This is not stealing. This is, let's call this improving oneself. Let's put it like that, because it bloody works. And again, here on this point, I want you to understand that you will need to get inspiration from the best ideas. Take only the best ideas. Regardless of your trade, there is always something you can see from other people how to make, how to do, how to perform, how to repeat in a better way, and how to properly apply the basics in a new light. There is always room for improvement. Learning never stops, just like improvement never stops. Because there is 2 states in this world, and I'll leave you with this idea for this point. You're either growing or dying. It's simple. Point number 3, perfection only exists in imagination. Do not aim for perfection in everything you do. Perfecting something never ends. Improvement ends when there is nothing else wrong with the work. This is self-explanatory, but I'll do my best to put it into words. Perfection only exists in imagination. This is understandable. And so why do people try to reach perfection? They try to reach perfection, indeed, but this is closely tied through which the mechanism and the means, the body and the tools, with other words, that idea is achieved. Again, we're talking about the higher potential, the unseen, which is above you, the spirit or the metaphysical side of life. And from this field, this is where you take your ideas. What you do is just to resemble those ideas into material form, and we call it art. So perfection only exists in imagination. It will kill you if you let it drive you. Perfection is elusive. Don't trust it. Don't believe it. Just do you. There is no such thing as perfection. There might be a perfectly beautiful woman, but that's just because nature intended to. But again, that's a preset, right? Again, like a design of a car. That's nothing. That's close to perfection, you could say. But that's because the reps have been put in, which is the point I'm trying to get you to understand. To reach your perfection, which is variable to the degree of your awakening, to how much aware you are of how you do your work, from your equipment to how you conduct yourself, to the spirit you put in the work, to the frequency behind every action you take. You need to understand that you will never be perfect. And with this in mind, allow yourself to do mistakes. Mistakes and failures are just lessons. It's nothing more to this but this. So if perfection is just elusive and fake, yet we still have it inside us, we try to aim for that. But if you let yourself be led by perfection, it will eat a lot of your time. Don't let it do that. It's elusive. So be yourself and be you. You can only improve by doing. Remember this. You can't just lay around without taking action to beat this weakness and to reach this perfection. Because everything in nature grows and evolves. That's perfectly fine. But don't let this stand in your way. A tree will always be taller than other trees in the jungle because it won the competition for that spot. And also you need to understand that improvement ends when there is nothing else to add to the work. Every addition will make it just 1% better. But of course, 1% better here, 1% better there can make up the whole difference. It's true. But when the majority and the whole body of work is done, then all the details can be easily added without falling into the trap of perfection. Point number 4, show up like a pro. Consistency, iteration, and self-observation is what leads to self-mastery. This is a big one because On the days where the inspiration doesn't come, you will have to show up literally. Just gotta sit down and come up with a piece of content. It will either be generated by an AI or you can come up with it on your own, but you will have to come up. You do that by showing up. As simple as that. If you want to grow some muscle, you go to the gym. If you want to write, you gotta sit down and write, come up with an idea and so on. This is the only way you can do stuff in life, by first putting in the reps and then doing something with those reps. Because in this process, we aim for self-mastery. And this is the ability to act intuitively based on your connection to your heart, which is your inspiration, basically. Now, I hope you see clearly what you have to do in here. Because the more you show up, the more you have access to the self-observation. Of course, there are people who show up because they have to, but that doesn't lead to self-mastery or self-observation. You can't become a master if you don't observe yourself. Observing is just the course correct. This is the psychocybernetic mechanism Maxwell Maltz said about. You only adapt when you're aware of your own mistakes. If you're not aware of your own mistakes, it's like driving a car through all the potholes because you can't see them, and that's bad for the long term. This is what I say, time doesn't equal experience. I always say this. It doesn't, because if you sleep, time can pass, but if you're awake, you got something to learn, you got something to do. Time will pass, but differently. So in the end, show up like a pro. It will pay far more dividends to print on schedule and to put yourself out there, put in the reps and all that, because you got so much to learn. Obviously, complacency can take place, but that's a story for a different time. Fundamentally, we're interested in expressing yourself, which is something you'll have to continuously do. Point number 5, the psychological spring of ideas. Ask yourself to come up with ideas, and your brain will naturally surface ideas. Count on this. Is the fountain of youth. As I said, if you show up like a pro, you will be seeing improvement. But to come up with new ideas, you will have to put yourself in the position to come up with those ideas. If you have a blank sheet of paper in front of you, and I say, come up with 5 video ideas, come up with some ideas that you know will be high quality ideas. You can come up with 30 ideas. Only 5 of them will be good. But the point here is you will come up. You want to train your brain to come up with stuff you want to talk about, you want to write about. And your brain will come up with that stuff. If you post weekly, let's say, and you want new ideas, don't use ChatGPT. Ask yourself first. Because not ChatGPT is going to talk about those points. It can help you structure. It can help you formulate. It can help you rewrite and correct some points here and there. But fundamentally, you will have to be the one coming up with ideas in the leading role. And we're making a clear point here. Inside your head, inside you, as a whole person, you have a psychological spring of ideas. It's just like a fresh mountain spring. It's got loads of ideas in it. It's literally infinite. You can come up with every idea you can imagine. And so you will need to count on it. When you ask it to come up with an idea and you actually sit down to write, let's say, to invent something, to come up with a story or something, you will come up with an idea because you are creative. Creativity is what led monkeys to evolve into humans. Creativity sits at the basis of knowledge, of discovery, of wanting to know more about ourselves, about the universe, about the whole thing as a whole. Right? Creativity and play. So if you want to come up with ideas, proper ideas to represent who you are, sit down and dig for these. You will come up with them. They're already inside of you. Just have to acknowledge them, seek them out, drag them out, and they will come easily. And there's an infinite abundance inside of you, bro, of ideas. You can never run out of content. In not even 6 lifetimes from now on, you can never run out of ideas. There will always be stuff to talk about. Like in the past, let's say 600 years, there's been so many points of view on psychology, on gaming, on development, on everything, right? People will always come up with stuff. Why can you not come up with stuff you want to talk about? Because you can. This is what I'm saying. There is an abundance of ideas around you. Don't stress yourself about it. Just sit down and start doing the work, and your ideas will come up. Right? Quiet your mind and allow your heart to pop through. This is the best advice I can give you on how to be creative and actually make use of this spring of ideas. And why is this the fountain of youth? Because it has no end. It will always be life-giving. Even after you're gone, people will still have access to this fountain and they will make use of it. Some to a larger degree than others, but that's fine. Again, we're talking about the level of sleep or the level of awareness, to put it more plainly. So while you're alive, count on it. This is what you need. And finally, if you want to be creative for life without burnout, do something you love, accept the good and bad of it, become a pro in the thing you chose by constantly improving and repeating weekly or daily, and you will never run out of ideas. Accept yourself for the current level of awareness and go from there if you're a beginner. These are the final points, and there is no point in discussing them, as largely what I wanted to say has been covered. And with this in mind, I hope you took some notes. If you want to rewatch the video, that's fine, so you can get a deep understanding of what's actually blocking you from expressing yourself, from having inspiration, and coming up with content ideas without feeling like you're stealing somebody else's. Because again, you're not stealing, you're just getting inspiration. Don't copy word by word what somebody else did. Just be yourself, but just copy the blueprint that's proven to work. That's all I had to say about this point. And so yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos. Bye.